All right, guys, welcome to another episode of Real Physician Reacts. I am yours truly, Dr. Barry Pierre. First of all, welcome back. I know I have been gone for a couple weeks. I got for good reasons though. I was out on a business trip. Me and my wife went to a business conference to kind of learn about some marketing and whatnot. And I figured I wouldn't do it my just due diligence, right? If I kind of squeeze something in together during the conference. So I said, I'll wait till I get back, wait till I'm kind of refreshed, re-energized, and then hit the ground running. So here we are. If this is your first time catching this series, this is Dr. Barry Pierre. I'm a board-certified internist. This series is focused on either various video clips that come across my social media feeds or, things that we just need to talk about where I kind of give the honest opinion from a physician, right? Because unfortunately, a lot of times as a healthcare worker, we don't have time to really critique everything, right? We see it, we get annoyed at it, but we have to kind of keep our head down and keep moving. But I can dedicate this whole series just on the facts, right? And understanding what's going on. So today I had titled this the NBA edition. And why have I titled this NBA edition? Because unfortunately, especially in this country, those who are deemed experts are ones who gets the most, eyes put on them, and not necessarily one who has the credentials behind themselves to be deemed as the expert. So for those essentially catching this real time or kind of short time within, we are still in a pandemic, and now you're getting to the point where sporting events and associations have essentially just kind of say, hey, we have a vaccine, it's FDA approved, we're opening back up again. And a lot of people are opening back up again like everything is normal. Unfortunately, we still have a lot of people in this country, but really around the world, but definitely in this country, who are still against what this vaccine kind of represents, right? Which is kind of the return to normalcy. And you've been hearing, especially if this is not your first time catching this series, you've been hearing various reasons from aspects of us turning into what Germany was during the Holocaust and racism and all of just really BS, right? And unfortunately, the NBA is not short of anyone who is going to say BS to kind of get their point across, right? So today I'm going to be focusing on Jonathan Isaac, who is a power forward for the Orlando Magic. And we're going to hear his stance on, what he has against the vaccine, right? And what I love is that people who are anti-vax, they're quick to say, I'm not against vaccines, right? Like they're quick to say that, but then their rationale for why, for some reason, they're against this vaccine never really adds up, right? Like it just never adds up why this vaccine is the straw that broke the camel's back, but all the other ones are fine, right? Especially now that I'm not even talking about a vaccine that's under emergency authorized use. I'm talking about a vaccine that has been FDA approved. And this is really going to be the first of many, because we will have, at least by December, January, the Moderna will also be FDA approved as well too. So the fact that we have these options here, but still you have a significant contingent, still kind of pouting lies and false beliefs. Kind of here we are, right? So, and for reference, right, the NBA is about 90% vaccinated, right? So we're not talking about a significant portion of the NBA players being vaccinated, right? It's about 10%, but we all know what that 10% can do. Again, look across the country. And on another side note, but more important, the WNBA, which the playoffs is going on right now, is 99% 99% vaccinated, right? And there's not like they're mandated, right? But obviously, women have always kind of taken the charge on this thing, so it's not surprising to me that the WNBA would be much more forward thinking in this topic, because they're typically a lot more forward thinking in a lot of various topics regarding kind of sports in general. So again, shout out to the WNBA. Like I said, playoffs is going on right now. I'm rooting for Candace Parker. So let's talk about Jonathan Isaac. Let's critique this interview that he did. And again, he's not the only one. Another key one is Kyrie Irving. And it's interesting. I think Andrew Wiggins was another one who is also pretty anti-vaccine. But what's the funny about the scenario with Wiggins and Kyrie is that the states that they play in, they're not going to be allowed to play home games if they're not vaccinated. So they stand to lose 50% of their paycheck. So if I would have recorded this, 2 weeks ago, I would have been talking about how Andrew Wiggins is another player who's quote unquote anti-vax, right, or against the vaccine. But I think reason, came to a head. I think his business partners, accountants, his family was like, hey, are you really about to lose half of your paycheck, right, off a vaccine that there isn't this boogie monster that you're worried about? Are you really about to do that? And, reason came to fruition and he got vaccinated right before the season start. But like I said, I think his paycheck definitely superseded all of his initial concerns, right? Like they always say, I'm about to do some research. So I'm assuming once the check started, being a risk at not coming in, his research sped up and he got the vaccine, right? So again, shout out again. I'm not here to, poke fun, but again, shout out to you, Andrew Wiggins, for getting vaccinated. We appreciate you here in the medical community, public health community, and I'm pretty sure your players around you do too. So let's get into this video here, guys.
Jamie Say, WKMG, wondering if you can comment on the Rolling Stone article and your comments that appeared on that about you not getting a vaccination, why you don't want to get a vaccination, and were you misquoted in that article?
So before he starts, because he's going to lie, in the Rolling Stone article, it mentioned how Jonathan Isaac, not only is, against the vaccine, but he really started doing his research, just following, our former president, Donald Trump, as well as kind of following a lot of the propaganda videos around Dr. Fauci, right? And for those who may not know, Dr. Fauci is one of the predominant health figures, especially in this current administration, but just in general, right? Like I tell people all the time who typically are outside of medicine is that if I'm board certified internist, one of our premier books for internal medicine is the Harrison's book. Dr. Fauci's name, like he's been a primary editor on one of our premier books for over a decade, right? Just to give you an idea of how significant his contribution has been in medicine in general. So when I hear people who have no credentials whatsoever talking about how Dr. Fauci is a plant, Dr. Fauci is one not to be trusted, like I'm immediately turned off. And that's what the Rolling Stones article actually pointed out, the fact that he felt that Dr. Fauci couldn't be trusted. After following a lot of Dr. Trump's interviews, he got dissuaded from taking the vaccine. By the way, Donald Trump has gotten the vaccine and will be getting the booster when eligible.
I would start by saying that I was pretty badly misrepresented in the Rolling Stone article. And because of that, I can understand anyone who may say they don't transparently or overtly trust the media.
So again, like, who does that sound, right? I was misconstrued. They took my words out of context. Now we're not going to trust media whatsoever while he's talking to media, right? And this is, again, right from the playbook of this group of people who are anti-vaccine and have kind of set in their ways on how they're going to go about doing their. Again, I don't even know how you go about doing your own research without searching someone else's media to do said research, right? Because it's not like you're not about to go into the lab and do tests. You're not going to do any of that quote unquote research. You're going to read somebody else's research via someone else's media. But now he's telling us because they misconstrued his words, they didn't. That now he doesn't sure if we should trust any type of media. So again, typical playbook from that side.
In a frustrated tweet yesterday, I had noted that true journalism was dying. And to that, I would say that I appreciate every single one of you.
But true journalism is dying, but like everyone in the room is like good money for me, right? Which again is one of those things where when you are called out on your BS, or when you are called out on your false beliefs and statements, again, all of a sudden everyone else must be bad and must be trash, right? Like this, again, right from the playbook.
Those that try their best to correctly share the thoughts, the ideas, and the heart of the people that they're asking questions of. I'm not anti-vax. I'm not anti-medicine. I'm not anti-science. I didn't come to my current vaccination status by studying Black history or watching Donald Trump press conferences. I have nothing but the utmost respect for every healthcare worker and person in Orlando and all across the world that have worked tirelessly to keep us safe. My mom has worked in healthcare for a really long time. I thank God, I'm grateful that I live in a society where vaccines are possible and we can protect ourselves and have the means to protect ourselves in the first place. But with that being said, it is.
So this is when, like, I always, when you start seeing people try to butter up, I always wait for the but, right? Because the but always comes, right? Like, so he talks about how, now mind you, he just came off a significant injury where a physician had to do surgery to repair his injury so that he can go out and play the sport that he loves. But again, so he butter up. I love medicine. I love health. I love our ability, right? And again, I wish I remembered the doctor's name, but he talked about how geocentric those in the United States are. All of the stuff he's mentioning is not a common scenario for people outside of this country. And actually, more importantly, it's not a common scenario for people in this country. He's a star NBA, well, he's an NBA basketball player, right? Who, again, has the means and the access to get all of the facilities, all of the medical professionals, the vaccines, medications, supplements, whatever he wants, right? He has those means. So what he's mentioning isn't even a common place for people within this country, but it's definitely not a common place for people outside of this country, which typically happens, especially in this country. We're very geocentric and believe everything is kind of centered around us.
Belief that the vaccine status of every person should be their own choice, and completely up to them, without bullying, without being pressured, or without being forced into doing so.
So again, I've made this argument before. Those who are against the vaccine, right, or those who are feeling like, oh, it's my choice, they never can actually answer the question, well, can I decide not to get your disease, right? Like, people around you don't have the option to say, no, I don't want Jonathan Isaac's disease. Let that stay over there, right? They don't have that option. They could be just being in the same room. Again, these media folks, right? Being in the same room puts them at risk for getting COVID that he may have, right? And once that's the case, then we don't want to hear about choice this, choice that, right? Because again, if you love everyone and you love the healthcare system and everything else, you have to understand that public health is embedded in a good healthcare system. And I think that's the fundamental thing that a lot of people who are against this vaccine seem to lose, right? Like, it's not as if, like, you have alcohol over here and me standing next to you, as long as I say I don't want no alcohol, I don't get drunk. No, right? There's a disease that's airborne, a droplet, that I could be standing here going to get my groceries, and you walk by me, you grab the cereal ahead of me, and then now all of a sudden I have an increased risk of it, right? So again, this is where we always, and that's why I've been very poignant on fighting back when people try to act like, oh no, if it's my choice, then why can't I? Like, because no, like, I don't have the choice. Like, if the choice isn't on the other side, then it's not just your choice, right? Like, again, it's the if you're here for the public good and the greater good, then it should be the choice for the greater good. But typically with them, it's not.
I'm not ashamed to say that I'm uncomfortable with taking the vaccine at this time. I think that we're all different. We all come from different places. We've all had different experiences and hold dear to different beliefs. And
so again, for those who may not know, he's actually an ordained minister. And we're seeing a lot of those, especially on the more religious heavy side, try to use this belief, right, that with God and with protection and everything else. That's all they need. They don't need this vaccine. And unfortunately, you do a quick Google search, right? There are a lot of parishioners, a lot of church members, a lot of even head religious pastors who are dying and passing away, right? Because there's some pastors who would not allow, their members to come to church with a mask, right? And during one of the significant peaks of COVID, even before we had treatment. And of course, what happened? They were dying left and right. But in their eyes, no, God should protect them, right? They never actually answered the question, well, doesn't it make sense that God would send scientists here to protect you from a deadly respiratory-like virus? Like, doesn't that make sense? They never even allow that scenario to occur. It's always, no, God has me. So when you hear him talking about his beliefs, there's no research, there's nothing scientifically founded in why he thinks he's against it. It's all his belief from a religious standpoint of why he shouldn't be against it, right? Which again, this is something that we have to be very keen on as a healthcare professional, fighting tooth and nail, right? Especially when the majority of religious leaders, right, are especially actually significant religious leaders are saying like, no, get the vaccine. Like, we want you to get a vaccine, right? Like, so when you got people like the Pope who are saying, no, get the vaccine, when you hear people, like this guy here and plenty others start saying about their religious beliefs, they almost put it as this a fight against, hey, my belief says I should be protected against the vaccine. But what does your belief say that I and everyone else around you should be protected? It does not, because that's not how the way it works, especially with this disease.
What it is that you do with your body when it comes to putting medicine in there should be your choice, free of the ridicule and the opinion of others.
But yeah, no, I wanted to stop it there, right? Because, listening to, his aspect here of like, I should be able to make my choices, right? Again, this is where I am continue to drive home this fact that like, no, it's not just that, right? Like, no, you have to understand that if we are dealing with the public, right? If we are dealing with public as a mass, as a whole, especially if you're leaning on your religious beliefs, understanding that like to protect others, right, is essential. And, I don't have the clip here. I wish I did, where he started going on this tirade about how because he is an NBA player, because he is fit, right? Like all of these reasons is why he feels comfortable not necessarily getting the vaccine. And you ask any healthcare professional, we have a lot of fit people who have died from COVID. We have a lot of fit people who has suffered significant injury from COVID. At the time, I'm recording this, I'm taking care of patients who are 29, 33, 34, and 40 with trachs, right, who are on the vent and who are going to need long-term care. Their life has been changed forever, all unvaccinated. Their life has been changed forever because of this virus. So when you have, especially in this country, our country likes to elevate people like a John Isaac, people like a Kyrie Irving, people, Wiggins before he smartened up and got vaccinated. Our country likes to elevate these stars. And the problem is when they're elevating these stars, especially from a media spotlight, there's people who are watching them saying like, hey, like he's got to know what he's talking about. Like he's an NBA player, right? And then totally shoo-shooing, the doctors and the scientists and the public health professionals around the country being like, don't listen, right, to this guy here, right? And again, like I said, I'm not here to just rag on him. He just happened to be the video of the week, right? Someone sent me this video and say, nah, you got to talk about this guy here. So we're going to talk about him. So we're not here to necessarily rag on him specifically. I'm ragging on people in that position, right, who have the media spotlight, and understand that their words are so powerful. We talked about Nicki Minaj a few weeks ago and how her words, like, got to the point where the Minister of Health of Trinidad had to say something because it was so crazy BS. Like, we have to be able to, I guess, beat up on people who spout religious beliefs on and make it seem like it's sound reasoning, right? Why they don't want to protect their fellow NBA players, their family members. And unfortunately, right? And again, we're not wishing this on anybody, but unfortunately, what typically has to occur is that someone in his close proximity, right, has to pick up COVID, get really ill from COVID for him to realize, like, wow, like it's serious. Because those who are of the significant, strong religious belief will take like that and say, well, maybe it was just their time, right? Like it, and it, like, but like it has to really hit you home. And again, shout out to the 90% of NBA players who are vaccinated, who have common sense, right? Like shout out to you guys. LeBron, we saw LeBron saying that he got vaccinated, which we already knew that was going to happen, but he didn't want to step on any toes and say we should get vaccinated, right? Again, don't worry, LeBron, I'm here for you. Everyone should get vaccinated unless you have a significant medical reason, aka severe anaphylactic allergy to some component of the vaccine. Like you should get vaccinated, right? But like if that's not the case, I don't want to hear about your beliefs and acting like your beliefs are stronger and better than everyone else's. That's just me. So again, I'm yours truly, Dr. Barry Pierre. I'm gonna see you guys next week on another episode of Real Physician Reacts.